I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. What I'm about to share with you about powerful people is not what your father told you. It's not what your teachers hinted at in school. It's definitely not what all those networking gurus on LinkedIn are whispering in your ear. Most men will go to their graves never understanding this. They'll keep showing up to events, shaking hands, collecting business cards, sending follow-up emails, and wondering why nothing changes. They'll keep liking posts, replying "congrats, bro," sending polite messages that get left unseen, and telling themselves, "I guess I'm just unlucky." That's exactly how the system wants it. Because once you truly understand how powerful people actually think, once you see the game behind the smiles, you can't unsee it. Your life splits in two: the time before you understood social power, and the time after, when you start moving through rooms with intention instead of desperation. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli wrote the most dangerous manual on human power ever put on paper. So dangerous the church banned it. So useful that kings, CEOs, presidents, and generals studied it in secret while condemning it in public. He was documenting how power actually moves, how people rise, how they fall, how they get close to the throne, or die trying. Now imagine this. Machiavelli isn't advising a prince in Florence. What do you think a man who spent his life watching rulers, traitors, social climbers, and vultures would tell you? He'd say something more brutal. You're invisible because you're playing a game you don't understand. You were trained to be a good worker, not a powerful presence. You were trained to follow the rules, not shape them. You were trained to be grateful for access instead of dangerous with it. This video is not about becoming fake. It's not about manipulating people or licking boots. This is about something sharper. How to place yourself in the orbit of powerful people in a way that makes them want you there. Not out of pity, not out of politeness, out of self-interest. Because if there's one thing Machiavelli understood, it's this: powerful people do not move out of charity. They move for advantage. And if you don't understand that, you will spend your life trying to connect with them in all the wrong ways. Let's start with the first brutal law, the one nobody told you because it ruins all the feel-good advice. Powerful people do not see you the way you see yourself. You judge yourself by your intentions. They judge you by your effect. What do you change in the room? What do you bring to the table? What do you represent when someone is seen standing next to you? Machiavelli said it cleanly centuries ago. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. In reality, nobody feels your goodness first. They see your appearance, hear your tone, feel your presence. They experience your current signal. And powerful people? They judge that signal faster and colder than anyone else. They have to. Their time is scarce. Their attention is hunted. Every day, hundreds of people want something from them. If you approach them like you're special because you're nice, you've already lost. This is where most guys mess up. They think access comes from being pleasant, from being agreeable, from being overly grateful. So they walk up to powerful people acting like fans instead of peers. They talk too much. They overshare. They compliment endlessly. And the powerful person feels it. Not because they're evil, but because their whole life has trained them to filter, fast. Who is here to drain me? Who is here to add to my position? One guy left a comment under a video about this that summed it up perfectly. I spent years trying to network with rich and powerful people by being extra nice. You felt that. When you enter a room and your whole strategy is to be liked, you automatically put yourself below the people you want to connect with. Your eyes keep checking their reaction. You're scanning for approval. You're adjusting your personality to their mood in real time. You think you're being flexible. They see a man without center. Here's the first shift. Powerful people are not looking for more fans. They already have those. They are looking for signals, competence, discretion, ambition, stability, not shouted out loud. Felt. Your clothes don't need to be expensive. They need to be intentional. Your words don't need to be many. They need to be precise. Your energy doesn't need to be hyped. It needs to be grounded. And your presence? It needs to say, without a word, I respect you, but I am not here to worship you. Niccolò Machiavelli flipped that. Powerful people estimate themselves and are estimated by others based on who they allow around them. Every face next to them is a reflection of their judgment. If they surround themselves with clowns, they look foolish. If they surround themselves with cowards, they look weak. If they surround themselves with capable, sharp, upward-moving people, they look intelligent. So when you approach, without knowing it, you're auditioning not just for access, but for what you'll make them look like. Are you the loud, careless guy pulling them down to your level? Or the grounded, useful, discreet presence that sharpens how they are perceived? That's Law 1 of Machiavellian social climbing. You don't beg for a seat. You make your presence expensive, not in money, in signal. A man who is clearly working on himself, who respects his time, who doesn't talk just to fill silence. That man is not interpreted as a random fan. He is interpreted as someone who could be an asset or a threat. And that's exactly where you want to be. Too composed to be dismissed, too intentional to be forgotten. But let's be real. You're not invited to private dinners. You're not on the list for exclusive events. You don't have a last name that opens doors. So what now? Here's where the second law comes in. Proximity is engineered, not gifted. You keep waiting for some magical situation where powerful people suddenly appear in your life organically. They won't. They live in different spaces than you. Different gyms, different restaurants, different floors of the same building, different corners of the internet. If you live your life on default, you'll never cross paths. The man who climbs socially doesn't leave this to chance. He structures his life to pass through intersection points with power. That could be working in places where power gathers, even if you start in a lower role. Attending smaller, targeted events where titles matter, not just vibes. Joining organizations, boards, or communities where powerful people must be present, not might be. But here's the trick. You do not show up as a beggar. You show up as someone already carrying value. Maybe you're the man who makes sure things run smoothly. Maybe you're the man who knows everyone's name. Maybe you're the man who is always calm when others panic. Whatever it is, you become visible not because you introduce yourself correctly, but because you consistently make the environment better. You've probably seen it yourself. There's always that one person in every high-stakes environment. Doesn't talk much. Knows where everything is. Gets things done when everyone else is stressed. Doesn't make drama. Powerful people clock that fast. Not because they're kind, but because their survival depends on spotting who's useful under pressure. Machiavelli spent pages explaining that a ruler's success depends not just on fortune, but on how he moves when opportunity appears. Niccolò Machiavelli, you've had chances already. Moments where you were near someone powerful. Moments where they needed something small, a solution, an introduction, a piece of information, a calm head. But you hesitated. So you did what the fool does. You acted later, when the moment was already gone. The wise man moves at once, not in desperation, but with decision. He sees the opening. He steps in. He does what needs to be done. No speech, no theatrics. And then, he steps back. That's another law most men never learn. Do the noticeable thing, then disappear. You're used to doing nothing, then trying to be noticed. I was quiet the whole event. No, do something real, something that genuinely reduces friction, and that powerful person's brain will tag you. Your name might not be remembered yet, but your role is. And in their world, roles matter more than random introductions. People think social climbing is smiling at everyone. It's not. It's getting seen by the right eyes doing the right things at the right time. That's not an accident. That's engineered simplicity. Strip away your performance. Strip away your neediness. Strip away your obsession with being liked. Replace it with presence that doesn't chase, value that doesn't shout, action that doesn't wait. You don't need to know all 14 laws yet. Right now, you just need to accept one painful truth. You are not ignored because the world is unfair. You are ignored because you are moving like a spectator, not a player. Spectators watch powerful people from the stands. Players rearrange their lives to end up on the same field. And when they get there, they don't run up asking for autographs. They warm up. They execute. This is the psychological shift Machiavelli would hammer into you if he were alive. Stop thinking of yourself as an outsider begging for entry. Start thinking of yourself as an emerging power, choosing where to place your presence. That doesn't mean arrogance. It means you stop apologizing for wanting to rise. Social climbing has become an insult. But in reality, every powerful person you admire climbed. They placed themselves near people above them. They learned. They proved themselves useful. They took opportunities others were too timid to touch. You can call it ambition. You can call it networking. You can call it survival. Machiavelli would call it necessity. In the next part, we're going deeper. We'll We'll talk about how to speak in rooms where your voice is the weakest, how to read powerful people's insecurities without flattering them, and how to move through social hierarchies without becoming a puppet or a parasite. For now, remember this: powerful people aren't a different species. They're just playing a sharper, colder game that nobody bothered to teach you. You're learning it now. Let's pick up right where we left off. In your head, you probably still have this little voice saying, "Okay, I get it. Powerful people aren't looking for fans. I get that I need presence, value, timing. But what do I actually do when I'm in front of them? How do I talk? How do I move?" Good, because that's where most men either become clowns or become ghosts. They either overcompensate, trying to act dominant, cracking loud jokes, forcing confidence, and end up looking like they're punching above their weight. Or they shrink, standing in the corner, scrolling their phone, praying someone notices them. Both are the same mistake in different costumes. Your behavior is still centered around you. Machiavelli would laugh at that. He spent his life studying people who lived or died based on how they moved in front of power. And here's the cold reality he understood. In any room with a hierarchy, nobody is thinking about you as much as you are. They're thinking about themselves, their risks, their projects, their enemies, their image, their next move. If you want to connect with powerful people, the first law is this: stop trying to be impressive. Start being useful, not in a servile way, in a strategic way. Niccolò Machiavelli read that again. Immediate needs. Powerful people are not floating above the world. They have needs, pressure, problems, blind spots. Most of the people around them are trying to impress them. Very few are paying attention to their immediate needs. So here's your advantage. You don't have to be the most charismatic guy in the room. You just have to be the one who is actually paying attention. Not to yourself, to them. What's missing? What's stressing them? What's not being said? What's breaking that nobody else seems to notice? That's your opening. Let me give you something that one guy commented under a clip on this. "I stopped trying to pitch myself and started just quietly fixing small problems around a senior partner. Booking the right room, preparing the docs, anticipating what he'd ask." Read between the lines. He didn't walk up and say, "Hey, can you mentor me? Can you help me?" He made himself relevant to the man's immediate needs. That's not manipulation. That's alignment. Now here's where most people go wrong after this point. They hear, "be useful," and they turn into servants. They jump at every request. They run errands. They say yes to everything. No, without boundaries, usefulness turns into utility. Utility turns into furniture. Furniture isn't respected. It's just used. Machiavelli knew fear and love aren't equal. He saw rulers destroyed because they tried too hard to be adored and ignored how power actually stays in place. Niccolò Machiavelli now, don't take that literally and start trying to intimidate your boss. You're not a warlord. But translate the principle into social terms. Between being liked and being respected, pick respect. Liked, you're fun, easy, harmless. Respected, they weigh what they say around you. They think before they waste your time. They know there is a line with you, even if you're polite. You are not aiming to be feared like a tyrant, but you are aiming to be slightly dangerous to disappoint. How? By having a spine. You don't say yes to everything. You don't stay in conversations that disrespect you. You can say no without attitude. You can draw lines, calm, firm, consistent. Powerful people test this, consciously or not. They test if your loyalty is just emotional or if it's structured. If you're too eager to please, you might get short-term access, but you'll never be taken seriously. One guy wrote under a video like this: "I kept saying yes to extra work to prove myself. My manager liked me, but he never promoted me." Of course he did. Power respects power, even when it's small. A man who respects his own time signals that he will also respect boundaries when he has more responsibility. A man who gives everything away to be liked signals that he will cave under pressure. So here's law 2 for connecting with powerful people: value plus boundaries. Not value minus boundaries, servant. Not boundaries minus value, ego. Both. That combination, useful and self-respecting, is rare, which is exactly why it's remembered. Now let's talk about timing. Machiavelli obsessed over timing. He saw rulers fall because they did the right thing at the wrong time. He saw others survive because they did the brutal thing all at once and the kind thing slowly. Niccolò Machiavelli, you are not conquering cities, but you are entering power structures. Apply this to how you move socially. If you have to disappoint someone, refuse a request, say no to something, pull back. Do it cleanly and decisively. Not in 5 small cuts. One clear cut. Say it once, firmly, respectfully, and then stop apologizing. Dragging it out makes the offense feel bigger, not smaller. Don't blow everything you have the first week you meet someone powerful. Don't overpromise access, time, energy. Don't tell them everything you know in one conversation. You want your value to be discovered in layers, not dumped in desperation. The man who gives all his energy, contacts, and secrets at once looks like he's trying to buy favor. The man who, over time, keeps showing up, keeps solving problems, keeps delivering small, precise wins creates something much stronger. Dependence. Not codependence. Strategic dependence. I like having him around. That's the sentence you want whispered about you in powerful circles. But he's sharp. He gets it. That's a man people fight to keep near them. Now, we need to talk about something darker. Deception. You might be tempted to think, okay, so I just need to fake it. Say whatever they want to hear. And yeah, a lot of climbers do exactly that. They lie. They exaggerate. They switch masks depending on who they're talking to. Short term, it works. Long term, they get exposed. Powerful people didn't get there by being blind forever. They might be fooled for a season. But once they realize your value was a performance, you're done. Not just with them, with everyone they talk to. So how do you use Machiavelli's insight without becoming a snake? You understand that people are dominated by immediate needs, but you respond with real value instead of fake promises. You don't pretend you can do something you can't. You do what you can do at a higher level than they expect. You don't fake knowledge. You don't fake loyalty. You become the guy who doesn't repeat private conversations, who doesn't leak screenshots, who doesn't run his mouth when people leave the room. Of course, in a world of talkers, discretion is premium. That leads to another unwritten law. Never be the loudest person in a powerful person's orbit. Talking too much is a liability. Listening too little is suicide. When you're around power, you are collecting information. Who do they trust? Who annoys them? What patterns do they reward? What habits do they punish? This isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. Machiavelli wasn't telling princes to panic. He was telling them to observe. You walk into these rooms and try to show how interesting you are. You should be walking in and studying. Not creepily. Calmly. You notice who interrupts and how that lands. You notice who complains all the time and how people quietly avoid them. You notice who speaks rarely but gets full silence when they do. Then you adjust. Not by copying fake confidence, but by eliminating obvious weakness. You stop rambling. You stop sharing your whole life story. You stop contradicting people just to show you're smart. You speak when you have something useful, clear, or necessary to say. And when you do, you talk like you mean it. You're not asking permission for your words to exist. You're delivering a piece of information into the room. If they agree, good. If they don't, you don't crumble. That quiet, grounded voice is rare. A guy commented this after working on his speech for a few months. I didn't suddenly become smoother. I just stopped filling silence with nervous words. Silence is not your enemy. It's your frame. Powerful people live with more silence than you think, in their heads, in their offices, in their decisions. If you constantly break that with noise, you feel like friction. If you match it, you feel like alignment. Now, I know what you might be thinking at this point. This sounds like I have to be perfect. Relax. You're going to mess this up. You'll talk too much some days. You'll hold back when you should have acted. You'll misread a situation. The game is not perfection. It's evolution. Machiavelli has a quote about fortune that people love to twist, but there's a part of it that matters for you. I conclude, therefore, that fortune being changeful and mankind steadfast in their ways. So long as the two are in agreement, men are successful, but unsuccessful when they fall out. For my part, one consider that it is better to be adventurous than cautious. Niccolò Machiavelli, you've been too cautious socially. You overthink every move. You rehearse entire conversations in your head. You tell yourself, I'll act when I'm fully ready. By then, fortune has moved on. That opportunity to speak, to help, to follow up, to show up, it's gone. If you want to connect with powerful people, you will have to be adventurous. You will have to send that message. You will have to walk up and introduce yourself sometimes. You will have to show up to the event where you feel out of place. You will have to offer your help before you're certain they'll say yes. Not recklessly, not spamming. Adventurous. You can spend the next 10 years making excuses about why you weren't born into the right family, the right school, the right country, the right circle. Or you can start where you are, simplify your life, build clear value, and deliberately move closer to power one room at a time. The laws you're learning aren't magic tricks. They're corrections. Stop being a fanboy. Start being a quiet asset. Stop talking to fill your insecurity. Start listening to fill your understanding. Stop chasing love from powerful people. Start earning respect, even if that means they never like you the way you'd like. In part 3, we're going to bring all of this together. We'll talk about when to walk away from powerful people, how to avoid becoming someone's disposable tool, and how to use these 14 laws not just to climb, but to one day be the powerful person others are trying to reach. Because the goal is not to orbit someone else's world forever. The goal is to learn the game so well that you can build your own gravity. You say you want to be around powerful people, but let me ask you something harsher. Do you actually want power yourself, or do you just want proximity? Because a lot of men don't want power. They want access. They want the photos, the stories, the feeling of being close to the throne. But being close to power is not the same as having it. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll spend your entire life as a background character in other men's empires. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince so someone could feel special sitting near a king. He wrote it so rulers, and those who aspire to rule, could survive, rise, and keep their position in a brutal world. So in this last part, we're going to do something most networking advice never dares to do. We're going to talk about how not to just climb toward power, but how to climb in a way that, one day, you become the powerful person others are trying to reach. That's where all 14 laws point. Not to dependence, to sovereignty. Let's start with one of Machiavelli's most famous metaphors. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Niccolò Machiavelli, you've spent most of your life being neither. You were the sheep, too naive to see traps, too soft to scare wolves. You walk into rooms with powerful people and you either trust everything you hear like a child, no fox, or fold at the first sign of pressure, no lion. The Machiavellian climber becomes both. Fox, you can read the room. You notice agendas. You see when a favor isn't free. You understand when someone is trying to position you as the fall guy, the scapegoat, or the disposable soldier. You can walk away. You can push back when you're disrespected. You can endure tension without immediately collapsing into apologies. Most social climbers fail because they only copy one side. Some try to be lions only. Loud, aggressive, always disagreeing to look strong. They get shut out fast. Others try to be foxes only. Sneaky, flattering, shape-shifting. They get used and never truly trusted. The rare man combines both. That's law 7 in this game. Be a fox in your perception, a lion in your boundaries. You don't show all your teeth. You don't show all your tricks. There it is. You don't roar your way into respect. You signal it through what you will and will not tolerate. Now, there's another brutal truth you have to swallow. You are copying someone, whether you admit it or not. The way you talk, the way you hold your shoulders, the things you want in life, they all come from examples you've unconsciously imitated. If your only examples of powerful are rappers flexing money and influencers flexing clout, you'll copy their surface, not their structure. Are you modeling yourself after clowns with attention or builders with power? That's law 8. Pick your ladder by picking your models. You want to connect with real power? Stop obsessing over proximity to people who only look powerful online. Look for the quiet owners, not the loud performers. The man who owns the building, not the man showing off in front of it. The woman who signs the checks, not the intern posting from the office. And then you imitate them like Machiavelli said. How do they carry themselves? How do they manage their time? How do they treat gossip? How do they enter and leave a room? Not to pretend you're at their level, but to tint yourself with their discipline, their seriousness, their focus. Because when powerful people see you studying up instead of sideways, they recognize something familiar, the hunger they once had. One guy left a comment on a video about this. Once I stopped copying guys who just wanted attention and started copying guys who quietly built companies, my entire vibe changed. Of course they did. Like recognizes like, or at least, like recognizes the direction you're moving in. Now, let's talk about appearances. Because this is where most men get emotionally confused. And then you step into the real world, where people do judge you by what they see, and you get offended. Machiavelli didn't sugarcoat this at all. Niccolò Machiavelli, you can hate that. You can call it shallow. You can rage against it in the comments. It won't change. The majority of people, including powerful ones under time pressure, react to what seems long before they ever understand what is. You don't beat that by pretending you're above it. You beat it by mastering it. That's Law 9. Make your appearance serve your reality, not replace it. You don't need designer everything. You need intentional signals. Basic things: your clothes fit. You're clean. Your posture doesn't scream apology. Your tone doesn't rise at the end of every sentence like you're unsure. You look like you respect yourself. Then the deeper signals: you arrive on time. You honor your word. You bring a notebook, not just your memory. You follow through on what you said you'd do. That's appearance, too. Behavioral appearance. But if you let your appearance contradict your reality, if you are capable but constantly look scattered, late, sloppy, they will believe what seems over what is. And you'll call it unfair. It's not unfair. It's predictable. Next law. This one hurts. Law 10. Never forget that you are also being weighed as a risk. They're also asking, can this person embarrass me? Leak my private life? Turn on me suddenly? Powerful people have more to lose. They are cautious by necessity. That's why your stability matters more than your talent. A guy commented once, I lost access to a powerful mentor because I couldn't keep my emotions under control. One outburst. That was it. You are not just a potential asset. You are a potential liability. So Law 11 is this: be emotionally low risk. That doesn't mean emotionless. You can be passionate, intense, driven. It means you don't explode in public. You don't drag personal drama into professional spaces. You don't badmouth people for sport. You don't make every setback a crisis. If the answer is more complicated, you're out, no matter how talented you are. Now, we have to hit one of the most important laws, one nobody talks about because it's not glamorous. Law 12. Learn when to walk away from power. You hear social climbing and imagine a straight line. Up, 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 toward more powerful people, more influence, more rooms. But Machiavelli saw men destroyed not just by lack of access, but by the wrong access. You, today, can attach yourself to powerful people who are corrupt, unstable, or doomed. And because you want status so badly, you'll ignore every red flag. That's how you get used, then thrown away. A real climber has an exit strategy. Quietly, without public drama, without exposing secrets. You simply step back and let distance do its work. One guy left this in the comments under a very raw video. I thought I was being loyal to a powerful boss. Turned out I was just afraid to admit I chose the wrong side. Don't romanticize loyalty to people who would never bleed for you. You owe respect. You owe professionalism. You owe a clean exit. You do not owe your future. If you're paying attention like the fox, you'll see when a powerful person starts spiraling: paranoia, constant war with everyone, burning bridges recklessly, involving you in messy games. Lion mode says, this isn't my war. You don't need to announce it. You just stop tethering your identity, your name, your future to theirs. Law 13. Guard your own reputation more fiercely than you guard the relationship. Nothing Machiavelli wrote is more relevant here than his obsession with reputation. He knew that once a prince's name was dragged through the mud, it didn't matter what he really was like. The perception stuck. For you, today, if you become known as the guy who sits next to snakes, people assume you're at least comfortable with venom. If you become the guy who always follows drama, people assume you're made of it. If you become the guy who loudly exposes every powerful person you fall out with, people assume they're next. And they won't pull you close. Ever. So when the relationship with a powerful person ends, and many will, you do not set yourself on fire on the way out. You don't leak screenshots. You don't go on a crusade. You don't spend months revenge talking. You take the lessons. You keep your mouth shut. You move on stronger. Because the goal is not attention. The goal is future access to better rooms. And Law 14 is this. All of this only matters if, behind the scenes, you are actually becoming someone worth knowing. You can learn every rule. You can move like a fox and a lion. You can get into rooms, shake hands, exchange numbers. But if, when you go home, you open your phone, waste your night, neglect your body, ignore your craft, you're building a hollow tower. Machiavelli respected cunning. But he respected competence more. He knew no prince survives on appearances forever. At some point, real crises come. In those moments, you are either the man who can do something or just the man who knows people. The first gets called. The second gets unfollowed. One of the coldest comments I've ever seen under a business clip said, "I thought knowing everyone would save me." Connections are multipliers. They multiply what you already are. If you're disciplined, focused, useful, connections multiply your reach. If you're lazy, unfocused, chaotic, connections just multiply your ability to waste opportunities. So yes, study the 14 laws. Learn presence. Learn timing. Learn signals. Learn when to approach, when to fall back, when to say no. But don't forget the core. You are not building a life so powerful people approve of you. You are building a life so solid that powerful people have to reckon with you. They don't control whether you rise. They can only decide whether they rise with you or watch from a distance. That's the real Machiavellian climb. Not up someone else's ladder. Up your own. You start at the level you're at. Broke or stable, unknown or somewhat known, awkward or already decent, and you intentionally strip the neediness. Kill the fanboy energy. Design your proximity. Sharpen your value. Guard your reputation. Choose your models. Walk away from rotten power. Until one day, you look around and realize you're no longer the one chasing meetings. You're the one choosing who gets on your calendar. You're the one quietly opening doors for a few who prove themselves. You're no longer the one begging to be seen. You're the one people study to learn how this game is really played. And here's the part that will shock you the most when you reach that level. You won't feel like a god. You'll just feel steady. Because true power doesn't feel like fireworks every day. It feels like having options. You can say yes. You can say no. You can leave. You can stay. You can be in the room with powerful people and not forget who you are. That's where all of this has been pointing from the beginning. Not toward dependence on them, toward mastery of you. You've now seen what most men will never see. How powerful people actually think. What they really look for. What they quietly avoid. You've seen why your old approach, begging for attention, chasing validation, hiding behind being nice, kept you forgettable. You've seen how presence, usefulness, boundaries, timing, discretion, and actual competence turn you from a spectator into a player. You can't unknow this now. From this point forward, every room you walk into will look different. You'll notice who's desperate, who's dangerous, who's actually in charge. You'll feel when you're shrinking, and you'll remember you don't do that anymore. You'll feel when you're about to overshare, and you'll choose silence instead. You'll feel when some opportunity is actually a trap, and you'll step around it like the fox. You'll feel when someone tests your boundaries, and you'll stand firm like the lion. You will not be perfect. You will misread people. You will say stupid things. You will feel out of place in some rooms. Good. That's how you learn. But you will never again be the man who walks into a powerful room clueless, thinking being nice and being yourself is the whole game. You know too much now. So here's where we finish. You're not just building connections. You're building gravity. You're turning yourself into someone it is expensive to ignore. Not because you're loud, not because you're famous, but because when people look up in 10 years, you will still be there. Calmer, sharper, more connected, and more in control of your own world than you ever thought possible. Final command. If you're done begging for attention from powerful people who don't even know your last name, like this video right now, if you're ready to become the kind of man powerful people notice, respect, and think twice before losing, hit subscribe and stay close. Because this isn't networking. This is war for your position in the hierarchy. And from this moment on, you're not just climbing it. You just became a weapon.